Well, this is going to be unpopular, isn't it? This is not going to go down very well, because I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, hold on a minute, Nigel Farage. He's come back on the scene. He's lifted up the mood. People are listening. He's talking the right sort of policies. He's actually making some kind of sense. We've had it with the Conservatives. We've had it with Labour. And as for all the others, well, you know, they're never going to get in. And as much as we'd love to have independence, they're just not going to make the grade, are they? But Nigel Farage, oh, this could be the answer. So therefore, vote reform. I'm not convinced myself. I mean, as you know, regular viewers to this will know I'm not taking part. I'm not going to be in their jurisdiction. I'm not going to take part in their little poll, their opinion poll to say, who would you like to run the country? Oh, very interesting, but actually, it doesn't matter what you think, you everyday ordinary people, you don't get a chance because we've already selected the next candidate. Not only that, we've got the manifesto, the real manifesto. We'll have some fake manifesto we'll put out, but circumstances are likely to come along and change what we've promised during the business of knocking on doors with begging bowls and saying, give us your vote and all this sort of rubbish. Actually, it's all been preordained because we have an agenda and we're sticking to it whether you like it or not. However, the old Farage thing has made people go, but maybe there's a chance. Maybe we can knock back a bit and get some extra MPs in there to sort of be a thorn in the side. Wouldn't that be good? Well, would it? You see, the way I look at this, and this has been suggested to me by about 3 different people now, and it's a curious thought, but it does seems to make a lot of sense. If Nigel Farage hadn't come on the scene and everything was just going as it was, say, 6 months ago, I think that most people would have been so disillusioned with politics, so upset with it, they couldn't be bothered to turn up and vote at all. There would be a lot of apathy because, let's face it, all the stuff that we've had from both of these main parties have been anti-human policies and anti-human rhetoric. And it's not been the best place to be in this country at the moment, in the 21st century. After years and years of so-called these people trying to make things better, they've allowed our borders just to become paper thin. They've sorted out the schooling so that we can teach young children all sorts of unhealthy things at the age that they are. We have a police service which seems to be extremely against ordinary people and very much in favour of the corporations and the bailiffs and the big boys. And the NHS, which has gone round shoving rather unwelcome juice into the arms of people because they jump when the government says jump, even if that is to stick some sort of venom into people's arms. We've seen the whole country fall apart. Farms have been targeted, buildings are going up everywhere. They're not actually particularly nice buildings. They're small, they've got mean windows, tiny little gardens. We've seen the motorist has been penalised left, right and centre for wanting the freedom to travel the people's roads, and we've been encapsulated with these, entrapped with these speed cameras and the surveillance system that is all over the place. If that is what we want more of, well, let's face it, I think most people will be going, no thank you, don't want any of that, can't be bothered to turn up for the politicians, can't be bothered to vote. And so therefore the turnout, if it had been like this as it was 6 months ago, would have been pretty grim. Probably 30% people may have turned out, a bit of apathy out there. And so then any government getting in, you could argue, say, well, where is your mandate? Yes, this first past the post or whatever system it is, but not everybody came out to vote. It was such a tiny proportion, in fact, really small, that you don't actually have a mandate from the people because nobody can be interested in you. Nobody wants you. You've played your game and you've come up with your little trump card and said, oh, here we are. But if nobody's actually come out and voted for you, then you don't really have a mandate. But now with the Farage effect, with the hopium that there might be change, of course more people will be going to the polls. And this was the plan all along. You can see it. So therefore there will be a much higher percentage of people going to the polls. So it doesn't really matter who wins. I mean, they've already got their man ready to go in, and they've already, as I said, they've got their agenda all ready. So it doesn't matter that people are going in and voting on the basis that, oh, we might be able to change things, because I don't think that's actually what it's about. It's all, it seems to me, and what these other people have said to me, it's about getting rid of the apathy so that more people vote, so that at the end of the day they can say, oh yes, there was a 70% turnout, so that most people wanted to engage in the politics. They may not have got the person they wanted to win, but they wanted to engage in that politics, and therefore politics has been rescued. Politics is still okay. Whereas it would have been gone. With 30%, it would have been a travesty. The people could have turned round and said, nobody wants you, your system is outdated, outmoded, tyrannical. We don't want to be dictated to. We don't want the digital IDs, the CBDCs. We don't want to be surveilled in the supermarkets when we're buying things. We don't want all this horrible, nasty processed food that has no nutrients in it. We don't want to be poisoned by the chemicals you're spraying in the skies. We don't want to drink the fluoridated water. We don't want to be depopulated, thanks very much. We don't want a government that's associated with the WEF and the WHO and the Club of Rome and the Luciferians, the Satanists, and the whole lot. We want to stand proud as an ordinary, everyday people. We want to make our own rules, thanks very much, our own rules locally. We want to have the things that we want, and then we want some governance, not government, governance, to be able to turn that round and make the things that we, the people, actually want. And the rest of you can go to hell. But with the hopium of Nigel Farage, you can see the plan unfold. The masses will throng out and the attendance will be high and people will think that they're making a difference. It's not going to work, is it? The man has been chosen, the plan is enacting. But don't worry, but don't panic, because even though that is the plan, even though that will probably act out, they will not win. They will not win. The monster's head has been cut off and they're thrashing around. They will try and implement these things, but we the people will actually win. More of us are waking up. More of us are aware. In my town there are 28 these 5G towers going up. It was encouraging that actually some people did know what was going on. This will be replicated. More people are beginning to look up at the sky and go, hold on a minute, we know what you're doing. We see that you're poisoning the food. We're preparing ourselves. We're not putting up with this nonsense any longer. And you can play your little politics games, but some of us are beginning to see through this, and we will win. No matter how they play it out, whichever way they want to try and get the cards down, no matter how much fear, there is a huge number of people who are beginning to engage common sense, critical thinking. They're using positive mental attitude. They're understanding who they are. They're moving away from the dead entities and the corporations, and they're standing up for themselves, and they're saying, not anymore. I don't consent, but I don't have to go into a polling booth to say I don't consent. I don't even consent to the poll in the first place. And that is certainly my position.